3.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Idiomatic Top 3.
With Nicholas, I am the gaming correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I am Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic.com and movie critic. Not that that's gonna help us in any way, because today we're talking about music. Come to think of it, the show's called Top 3, but we're actually doing Top 5 this time. Why? Because unlike television or movies, songs usually last about 2 to 3 minutes, and so we figure we can cram 2 extra top entries for you. That means a lot of material for us, so why don't we get started right away? Top 5 songs that we don't want to see covered ever. Why don't you get us started, Nick?
Okay. My number 5, My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. Maybe because it was in Quebec. The rest of the world got it pretty bad. But
That's the Titanic song.
Yeah,
right?
the Titanic song. The rest of the world got it pretty bad because of Titanic. But in Quebec, it was like Celine Dion. She's the national treasure in Quebec. So I'm sure it played like twice as much on the radio. And that song it gets on everybody's nerves now. Anybody that tries to remake that song is doomed to failure and to hate letters and probably car bombs and stuff like that. You do not want to remake that song. It's a bad idea.
Yeah, that reminds me of an awesome joke from the show Supernatural for anyone who watches it. It's on the CW. Low budget, relies heavily on good-looking men, but beyond that, actually a fun horror show. But anyway, they have angels and demons and whatever, and there's one angel who goes back in time to unsink the Titanic. And then when the heroes catch him, they ask him, like, why did you do that? And it's like, just so we wouldn't have to sit through that movie. Since they live in an alternate reality where the Titanic never sank, it's like, what movie? And goes like, exactly. Although, come to think of it, the movie's not that bad. It's just that song. I just don't want to hear that song ever again. It's like, it's hilarious.
Yeah, so he had a good point.
Yeah, if an angel is willing to go back in time, don't remake it.
Exactly.
I'm going to go with a different tack. My number 5 pick for song that I don't want to see covered, Russians by Sting. That's a 1980s song.
Okay.
But it's a song about the Cold War. I hope Russians love their children too, because otherwise it's be nuclear war. That's pretty much the lyrics. Some songs belong in their era, especially in terms of lyrics. Because, the Cold War's over. It just wouldn't make any sense to retake that song. And
Okay.
so there's like every song that are sort of steeped in their culture, like White Rabbit, the 60s song about the Vietnam War.
Okay.
Like, don't remake that, because it's just going to be weird.
What if they made the songs about terrorists instead of communists?
Everybody's like all the movies as well do that, but like they all try to update anything relating to the Cold War to the terrorists, and it's a faulty analogy because the USSR was big enough, powerful enough, scary enough that Americans thought that they might take over the world because we didn't have access to just how much it was slowly imploding from the inside. We did not know. They hid it really well.
Yeah. And
it was scary. It was a real threat. Nobody in their right mind thinks the Taliban can take over the world.
Yeah.
They might contaminate the Middle East, which is what they've tried to do. And even then, the youth are revolting, and I think as soon as these people are steeped outside of, the disaster that were left after the Cold War, because that's how it started.
Yeah.
That's how it started in Afghanistan. The Russians and the Americans used Afghanistan as their battleground, as their war game, and then the people were left with absolutely nothing, starving to death. The Taliban just went out of left field and went like, hey, you got nothing, and then just took over.
Yeah.
But like as soon as, the people are sort of getting back on their feet even a little bit, already you see the youth revolting and everything with Facebook and all that, whatnot. So the idea that the Taliban can take over the world is ludicrous. It is not a good analogy.
No, they can do damage is the thing, I think, that they're banking on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think in a song, a song talking about them bombing stuff, yeah, that wouldn't work, I guess.
But I hope the Taliban loves their children too, would not really respond.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So yeah, that's I just like there are some lyrics that are steep in history, and singing them outside of that context would just make the singer look stupid.
Yeah. Especially if it's a kid, a 15-year-old kid singing about the Cold War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to see Justin Bieber singing "We Didn't Start the Fire." That would be weird to me.
Yeah. Good point. My number 4, any song by Elvis. Elvis is known. He is a great singer. He had a great voice. That's what made him his really powerful, awesome voice. Anybody that tries to redo that is bound to fail. The essence of Elvis's song and success was in his voice. So you can't really recapture that. So remaking songs about him, I think, is pretty foolish.
Although it's been done so many times at the same time.
Yeah.
Didn't Corey Hart do "Falling in Love with You"? I can't take.
Yeah,
he did that in the 80s.
That's one that's retaken a lot, but it still doesn't sound as good as the original. I think it's foolish to try and, because the essence of that song is really in his deep voice. He doesn't have to force it to have a lot of emotions in it.
Yeah, no, he's a phenomenal singer, because we tend to divide the world into the Elvis fans and the Beatles fans is often the thing they do.
Yeah,
and it's worth noting that the Beatles created their own music. And they revolutionized rock and roll.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Elvis did not write any of his own songs. He just sang spectacularly well.
Yes.
That was his gift.
But it's not just like Elvis songs. I'm talking also about artists that they're renowned for their specific way of singing and sounding, like the Crash Test Dummies, with the guy with the very baritone voice singing, or the Cranberries, that girl that has like the insane voice. If you try and remake those, you're always going to be compared to them, and it's like you're not singing the same way comparatively, and I think it's bound to fail.
Yeah, I agree. There's a reason why I'm going to refer to Idol a lot during this conversation for the simple reason that that's a show where everybody has to do covers. Yeah. There's a reason why everybody who attempts to do a Janis Joplin song gets booted out on that very same week, because it's Janis Joplin, buddy. You can't beat her.
Yeah, you can make it your own and try and make it, but no, it's not going to work. It's Janis Joplin singing her songs, and it worked with her voice.
Yeah, because all the songs sound like crap whenever they try, and you're like, wow. And you realize that it's because it's sort of a crap song. It's just that Janis Joplin is phenomenal, and she can take a specific type of crap and make it amazing. You know? It's sort of like in science fiction, those doors that have those genetic keys. Like, only Janis Joplin can take that song.
Indeed.
Or Elvis.
Yeah, that's the point I was trying to make. Just specific, when the essence of the song isn't the way it was sung, the voice, it's very hard to remake it.
Yeah. It's funny, you mentioned the Cranberries, and that leads me to my number 4 pick for a song that I don't want to see covered. Zombie by the Cranberries. And the reason for that is that, it's not that good a song. I'm sorry, it's not that good a song. Which is why I don't want to see it being covered. But, a bad song being covered, I can just ignore it. Except Zombie gets into your brain. It gets in your head. In your head. In your head.
Oh, wow. You went there.
I did. You hear it once and you're here for the rest of the day. And I went through that all across the 90s. I don't want to go through it again.
Yeah.
You know?
No, the lyrics are completely lame. It's the singing that makes it good again, but yeah, the lyrics are completely silly, and it really stays in your head. I'm probably gonna have it in my head until the end of this podcast.
It's just in mine right now. I'm still going in my head with the echo in my head.
Yeah, songs that you just can't get out there. Yeah, should not be remade. You're right.
I don't want to hear La Vida Loca either again. Achy Breaky Heart, none of that, please.
Okay. All right, no transition. And my number 3.
Great segue.
Yes. A song that should not be remade. Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. Why? Because Axl Rose is an asshat and he does not deserve any money.
That's right. We don't want to give him royalty for this.
Exactly. So do not remake any songs by Guns N' Roses.
Exactly. About post Axl Rose, it's fine.
Huh?
Because they had a little bit of a career after they booted out Axl Rose.
Yeah, that's true. But anything that has to do with Axl Rose, do not touch.
Yeah, he's an incredible racist, a jerk.
Oh yeah, I mean, Remember in Montreal, he decided after 20 minutes of concert, he's like, nah, screw this, I'm leaving, you know.
Yeah, and he started a couple of fights with a couple of rappers continuously that were going to sing around at the same place. He kept doing that.
Yeah. So, a huge jackass. Don't encourage him.
Yeah.
Don't remake any of his songs or songs by any artists that are jackasses.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if Mel Gibson starts singing, just abstain.
Yes. Oh. And so what is your number 3?
My number 3 for a song I don't want to see covered is Hit Me One More Time by Britney Spears. No matter how much the song baits you, do not do it. Okay, well, first of all, it's similar to Zombie and Cranberries in the sense that it's a terrible song and it stays in your head forever. But more to the point, haven't we had enough covers of Hit Me Baby One More Time, as in every other Britney Spears song?
Oh no, they're completely different. I know what you're talking about.
Really? Like, for anyone who's willing to do the experiment, take Hit Me One More Time and Oops, I Did It Again, and play them exactly at the same time. And I do mean exactly at the same time. They actually merge. And this is not like me being facetious. Like, try it for real. It is real. They actually merge. It's like, oops, I did it again. Na 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 na. Baby, hit me one more time. It's like it just bleed into each other perfectly.
Well, it's called continuity.
It's crazy. And why I picked Baby Hit Me One More Time more than Oops, I Did It Again is that the lyrics are even more offensive. It's just that reason. It's like, oh, look, it's because at the time that she filmed the video in her little sexy schoolgirl outfit, she was like 14 or something like that.
She was older than that.
No, she was 14.
Really?
Yeah. When she released her first album, she was actually 16, but they filmed the video before that she completed the album and everything. So when the video has her at actually age 14.
Interesting.
And so it's a little bit disturbing if you drool to that. And you know, she's singing about, you know, hit me one more time. And it's sort of like there's those really weird sexual connotations there. That it's like, it feels like one of those porno animes. It's wrong. I don't want to see that again. Maybe if an old person sings it, it'll be amusing, but otherwise. But, you know, Rebecca Black, please abstain.
You said you were going to stay away from Rebecca Black jokes.
I am just saying she should not sing that thing.
All right, fine.
Number 2 is...
Number 2, one of my favorite songs, Tainted Love. And that encompasses like all the 80s, early 80s songs that, you know, hey, we have this new instrument called the synth and, you know, the keyboard. And it all sounds electronic. And you shouldn't really remake those because that was in an era. Those songs represent an era, like the 80s with all the keyboards and all the electronic sounds. Trying to remake them today, it's going to sound off unless you're trying to make a tribute. And okay, possibly, but remaking a song that's so ingrained in that era, it's probably going to sound weird.
Probably is. Well, because the originals already sound like crap to me, but...
Go to hell.
Nick is a big lover of 80s music. I am not.
Yeah. Fine. Remaking a disco song then. You know, disco was great.
Oh, you don't need to change it. You just have a different taste than I do.
But I'm just saying, you know, songs that are ingrained in a certain era are, you know, it's going to sound weird if you remake them.
Yeah, the psychedelic introduction of the sitar in the 60s and all of that, all those hippie songs, would not make great pop remakes today. That is true.
Yeah.
Gangster rap today would sound pretty silly as well.
Isn't it still going on?
No, it's a completely... No, gangster rap is a completely different animal than rap today. Like, a lot of people criticize Ice-T for playing a cop now on CSI... no, not CSI. Law and Order. They're all the same to me. Law and Order SVU.
One of the cop shows.
Law and Order SUV.
Yeah.
The one where they all drive in a car. No. And, you know, he plays a cop in the SVU, and everybody goes like, well, he used to sing Cop Killer. What a hypocrite. It's like, he's not. Because in Cop Killer, he was denouncing just the state of how things are in his community. He wasn't actually advocating for the death of policemen.
That's people's attention span. They listen to the title and, okay, this song's about killing cops and how killing cops is awesome.
Because in the song, he lists all the young black people who were killed unjustly by policemen, overzealous policemen. It's like the list goes on forever. It's just, it is absolutely revolting. His anger is completely justified. Back in the day that happened, it's like it's a song of revolt. It's not a song of like, hey, gangster culture is cool. Not at all.
Yeah.
It's a revolution that he's singing about. But today's rap is a celebration of gangster culture for some, and then you have the lighter rap as well. Like, I don't want to put every artist in the same basket. But those that you're referring to, where it's like, is it still gangster rap? It's like, no, it's gangsters rapping, which is not the same thing.
Okay.
You know?
I guess you can't remake the original rap song. I think Rapper's Delight would sound really weird today.
I'm actually in the same vein for my number 2 pick than you are, actually. I am taking Thriller by Michael Jackson.
Okay.
That song, of course, gigantic hit, made Michael Jackson the icon that he was until he passed away recently. And here's the thing. You know that song, Video Killed the Radio Star?
Yeah.
I think that's sort of embodied in Thriller. Thriller was all the packaging. It was Michael Jackson being awesome.
Yeah.
Being a phenomenal performer in dance and in voice. And not enough people give him credit for his voice. And it was this high production music video, which we had never seen before. Before, the big videos were like Duran Duran singing in a green screen with squares moving. Ooh. Or Blondie singing in a tiny room with a discotheque ball and tripping over their own wires.
Yeah.
I love Art of Glass for that. You can actually see one of the musicians tripping on the wire. It's awesome.
Well, like I ran from A Flock of Seagulls, where the camera pans around and you have mirrors, and the mirrors actually film the camera panning around. That's an also great one. So yeah, videos beforehand were not high production value.
Not at all. And Thriller changed all that. Thriller just blew everyone away. Like they had, you could rent Thriller at video stores. It would just be the music video, nothing else. You could rent that at video stores. Like that's how insane that thing was. And that's what made Thriller what it is. It had Vincent Price doing the thing. If you listen to it just for the music, look, it starts off as a pretty cool song, and then Vincent Price interrupts it for some freaking reason.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to the song, you're like, what is this? No, that is not a cool track to listen to. And I suppose you could remix it and change it, but at the core, it's not that great of a song.
No, it's good for Halloween. That's about it.
Yeah. It was a phenomenon that's related to the artist, sort of like Elvis, but it's even more the whole package, it's sort of like when music started using synergy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, talking about artists and whole package and everything, my number 1 pick is not a song again. It's a group of songs. You should not remake or cover any Beatles songs. It's been done before, and it all sounds like crap. I have not heard a cover of a Beatles song that was actually good and better than the original one. It's not that they're even listenable. They're really, really not good. The Beatles were great musicians. They knew exactly what they were doing. And if the song sounded off or something, they made it sound better. I mean, those songs are pretty much close to the peak of perfection as the way they can be. Trying to remix them, cover them a different way, it's bound to fail.
Well, the thing about them as well is that they had the top producers of their time working with them. Like we're talking Eric Clapton, Jeff Lynne for a little bit as well. Yeah. These are amazing artists producing the songs with them. So even as a producer, if you want to remix it, you're gonna have a hard time finding a better way of doing this than frickin' Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
And the Beatles working together.
Yeah.
I agree. I can't think of a good remix of a Beatles songs. Even when they released those anthology albums and they did Free as a Bird and there was another one, they kind of sound like crap, to be perfectly honest.
Well, I mean, the guy's dead and they're taking old tapes, so that's
what. No, I don't mean the sound quality. I just mean the production on it is kind of crappy. And again, it's because it's even if it's still the Beatles start working on those, it's not the same production teams, and it's just not the same level of talent that's involved.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so yeah, you should not even try. The Beatles were, they were kind of the best group, So why even try going there and try and be compared to them? It's ridiculous.
I agree. I mean, like, as I mentioned, I'm a firm believer in just going in your own direction. But the Beatles are just a hard act not to. It's just when you sing a Beatles songs, you can't expect people not to think about the Beatles.
Yeah,
they're just that big.
Yeah.
Speaking of Free as a Bird, by the way, do you know what happens when you play Free as a Bird backwards? Though, a little tidbit for our fans.
No.
It does Derbeja Earth. Just thought you should know.
Oh. Wow. Walked right into that one, did I?
Yeah.
All right, smart guy. What's your number one then?
My number one is probably a little bit offbeat for people, but hear me out. Too Hot by Alanis. I don't want to see a remake of that. For those all American and European audiences going like, eh? You can YouTube it. You will find it because you see Alanis Morissette, before becoming Alanis Morissette, was a Canadian pop singer based in Ontario for a little while. She had 2 albums.
Yeah.
One called Now Is the Time, and the first one was just called Alanis, I think. And she started off with a song, her first single called Too Hot. And it's pretty embarrassing, actually, because it's really teeny bopper pop. It's not awful, but let's just say it's not good.
How does it compare to teeny bopper pop from today?
First of all, it's Canadian producers from Ontario back then who are not, they're no Daniel Lanois, they're no,
okay,
they're not Timberland, they're not those great producers you have today,
Okay.
So it's pretty hokey, and it's sort of like listening to Tiffany, Debbie Gibson, or Martika, it's about that level.
Those are great artists.
Uh-huh.
Why do you hate the 80s so?
Yes, I bet you get lost in Debbie Gibson's eyes all the time. But but the thing with it is, the reason why I don't want to see a remake of it, it's not because I particularly hate those musics. I was actually a huge fan when I was a kid of Alanis, just Alanis. And when she went to Alanis Morissette, I was still a huge fan because I had progressed just at the same time as her music,
Okay.
I was just discovering hanging out with friends and pop music right around Alanis, the album, and Now Is the Time. And just when I was sort of more into angst and started writing poetry and all that stuff and wearing all black, she started doing Jagged Little Pill. I absolutely adore Alanis Morissette as an artist because she seems to follow exactly my life just a few weeks before me with every album. And I really love her stuff, even though she's never mastered the use of the thesaurus. But
oh,
like, she keeps using words the wrong way. It's actually kind of cute. But the reason why I don't want Too Hot to have a remake is because then people will be curious. And some people out there will go like, hey, that's a song from Alanis. And people will dig this up. And her agents have spent so much energy hiding that part of her career. I just don't want that to show up again, just for her sake. She doesn't want it out, and I want the best for her.
Well, maybe if, people don't mention it's a cover, they just sing it. People won't know.
That's not going to happen. You know how Canadians are about this. And I include myself because I'm the same way. As soon as we know something that the rest of the world doesn't, we're so eager to tell everyone. It's like, that's Canadian. That's Canadian. That's been in Canada before.
I guess.
Like Matt LeBlanc. Who, by the way, got his start in an Alanis music video.
Oh!
For those of you who want to see Matt LeBlanc's first appearance, look for Walk Away by Alanis.
And those who want to see Courtney Cox for first appearance, look for Dancing in the Dark.
Was it Dancing in the Dark?
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston is, of course, a leprechaun.
Leprechauns.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not a music video, so who cares?
Yeah, that doesn't
count. But yeah, I guess, if the artist is ashamed of the song, maybe it's a good thing that you shouldn't remake it. But the artist has a say in, no, don't do that.
Yeah. Although I'm overplaying the ashamed part, in fairness. I saw an interview with Alanis Morissette that made me laugh so hard. Because one of the interviewer had dig up her Alanis stuff, and he went like, so, like, are you ashamed of this stuff? And she looked at him, like, with this sort of offended look, going like, what a stupid question. They're like, why would I? It's not, I'm a singer and I sang. It's not like I posed for Playboy. What is that stupid question you're asking me? It's actually pretty funny.
Alright, something the artist doesn't like.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
Anyway, on that note, I guess that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, on that note, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
Note. If you have questions, comments, want to share with us some of your favorite covers or least favorite covers or songs that you'd really like to hear a cover for, you can write us at mail@idiomanic.com or post a comment right below the episode at idiomanic.com.
Yep. See you next week.
Unsink the Titanic. And then when the heroes catch him, they ask him, like, why did you do that? And it was like, just so we wouldn't have to sit through that movie. Since they live in an alternate reality where the Titanic never sank, it's like, what movie? And goes like, exactly. Although, come to think of it, the movie's not that bad. It's just that song. I just don't want to hear that song ever again. It's like, it's hilarious.
Yeah, so he had a good point.
Yeah, if an angel is willing to go back in time, don't remake it.
Exactly.
I'm going to go with a different tack. My number 5 pick for song that I don't want to see covered, Russians by Sting. That's a 1980s song.
Okay.
But it's a song about the Cold War. I hope Russians love their children too, because otherwise it's be nuclear war. That's pretty much the lyrics. Some songs belong in their era, especially in terms of lyrics. Because, the Cold War's over. It just wouldn't make any sense to retake. 1, 2, 3. Hey everyone, welcome to the Idiomanic Top 3.
With Nicholas, I am the gaming correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I am Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic.com and movie critic. Not that that's gonna help us in any way, because today we're talking about music. Come to think of it, the show's called Top 3, but we're actually doing Top 5 this time. Why? Because unlike television or movies, songs usually last about 2 to 3 minutes, and so we figure we can cram 2 extra top entries for you. That means a lot of material for us, so why don't we get started right away? Top 5 songs that we don't want to see cover that song. And
okay.
So there's like every song that are sort of steeped in their culture, like White Rabbit, the 60s song about the Vietnam War.
Okay.
Like, don't remake that, because it's just gonna be weird.
What if they made the songs about terrorists instead of communists?
Well, everybody's like all the movies as well do that, but like they all try to update anything relating to the Cold War to the terrorists, and it's a faulty analogy, because the USSR was big enough, powerful enough, scary enough that Americans thought that they might take over the world, because we didn't have access to just how much it was slowly imploding from the inside. We did not know. They hid it really well. Yeah. And it was scary. It was a real threat. Nobody in their right mind thinks the Taliban can take over the world.
Yeah.
They might contaminate the Middle East, which is what they've tried to do, and even then, the youth are revolting, and I think as soon as these people are steeped outside of the disaster that were left after the Cold War, because that's how it started.
Yeah.
That's how it started in Afghanistan. The Russians and the Americans used Afghanistan as their battleground, as their war game, and then the people were left with absolutely nothing, starving to death. The Taliban just went out of left field and went like, hey, you got nothing, and then just took over. Yeah. But like as soon as, the people are sort of getting back on their feet even a little bit, already you see the youth revolting and everything with Facebook and all that, whatnot. So the idea that the Taliban can take over the world is ludicrous. It is not a good analogy.
No, they can do damage is the thing, I think, that they're banking on. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think in a song, a song talking about them bombing stuff, that wouldn't work, I guess.
Well, I hope the Taliban loves their children too, would not really respond. Ever! Why don't you get us started, Nick?
Okay. My number 5. My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. Maybe because it was in Quebec. The rest of the world got it pretty bad. But
That's the Titanic song.
Yeah,
right?
the Titanic song. The rest of the world got it pretty bad because of Titanic. But in Quebec, it was like Celine Dion. She's the national treasure in Quebec. So I'm sure it played like twice as much on the radio. And that song it gets on everybody's nerves now. Anybody that tries to remake that song is doomed to failure and to hate letters and probably car bombs and stuff like that. You do not want to remake that song. It's a bad idea.
Yeah, that reminds me of an awesome joke from the show Supernatural for anyone who watches it. It's on the CW. Low budget, relies heavily on good-looking men, but beyond that, actually a fun horror show. But anyway, they have angels and demons and whatever, and there's one angel who goes back in time to